Two Bros Divided. I'm Luke.
And I'm Noah.
And today we're just going to be going over Noah's 2024 route. Now, initially when we tried to record this, it was like a 2-hour video. So what we actually decided to do, just to make it a little bit more bite-sized, is break it down by section. So today we'll be covering a little bit of Noah's 2023 ride, why he finished in such record time, and then going into the 2024 race and what happened there. Without further ado, Noah, I'll let you kind of jump into the 2023 that race.
Yeah. So, like Luke said, I was one of the first finishers. Well, I don't know about that officially. A lot of people ended up finishing the first day. But I made it to Whitefish, Montana before I had an inevitable drop out due to a mechanical issue. So I think that's... I don't know where it is. We'll find that in a second here. But anyways, it was about 380 miles into the divide. I made it across all of the Canadian section here. And I made it a little bit into Montana before, Whitefish is up here. And I ended up dropping out right about around here on the side of a road due to my spokes coming apart, because it didn't come apart. My wheel came apart, but my spokes started breaking on like a pavement section of this like long pavement section between Whitefish and Columbia Falls. And the reason of this, Luke was going to go into here shortly as to why that happened, but I'll just do a quick overview of what that first, I think this was 3 days, looked like. So I showed up, never done the race before in Banff, Canada, 2 days before, in an unair-conditioned apartment, or not apartment, what do they call it? Condo.
Hotel.
And I had that rented for 2 days. Me and my girlfriend were going to go stay there and then, look around Banff and whatnot. It ended up being 90 degrees both days. So it was very hot, and I got horrible sleep the 2 days before because it was, like I said, unair conditioned, so the temperature really never dropped below 80 degrees. I was poorly prepared. I didn't have a spare derailleur hanger or a spokes before I started the race, which, we'll talk about later, but you do kind of want some of those things, and I was convinced I needed them, so I was kind of freaking out the whole 2 days prior instead of resting and making sure my bike was, squared away in every other way. I had too much stuff, and I was kind of out of biking shape. I just finished running in college, so I felt like my cardiovascular fitness may have transferred quite well. But in reality, it is not the same as biking, and those long days on the bike, and it's a little bit different. But yeah, so kind of started off here. It was the first day I got to about, I think, outside of Fernie a little bit. And then I ended up having to stop because it was, 11 o'clock. I was getting tired. And like I said, poor sleep the night before. I wasn't able to go very far. So I did make it up and over, I think, Coco Climbs, which is this big, massive climb here. And then I just stopped at like one of these little campgrounds there and then messed around too much. Slept with I think there's like 3 other guys in the group that I was like where we camped, and then got up after sleeping like 6.5 hours the next morning and pedaled into Fernie, and then pedaled up and over this section all by myself, and then received a wonderful text message from my dad that morning, which you'll be able to read here, but pretty much saying that I was doing really good and that I was definitely going to win. Which, full disclosure, I was doing pretty horribly for what we were expecting. And so anyways, kind of made it over this section here. Nothing really too different from my experience this year, other than right around this area, I had to pull out of the race. And like I said, Luke's going to explain why exactly that happened with my wheel.
Yeah, and my text message, still one of the funnier things after the fact when you showed that to me. But anyways, so Noah, he was easing into it a bit the first couple of days into the divide, and then got all set up in Whitefish, got resupplied, and was heading out about a couple hour or so after he heads out of Whitefish. I get a call from him, and pretty frustrated. He's like, everything's breaking, and I was like, okay. Like, everything meaning, like, your knees, or... It's like, no, my spokes. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just replace your spokes. Anyways, after a little bit of a conversation with him, kind of figured out that there was an issue with his wheel, and it's three spokes he broke, I think.
Well, I broke two, but one I think was I couldn't even loosen. But yeah, so almost three.
Yeah. Anytime you're snapping spokes riding down pavement road, it's not a good sign, especially on a mountain bike wheel. So essentially, what had happened there was here's a wheel, not the wheel that broke, but for some reason, maybe it hit a rock or something. There, it was instead of being round, it was more of like an oval, like my new chain ring that I got, but we'll talk about that later. It was like an oval shape. So he took it to mechanic and said, "Hey, like, can we get this fixed? Like, I'm doing this, huge race. I need to run right." And the mechanic saw the ovals in like these two spots, and said, "Yeah, let's just tighten up all of these spokes and all of these spokes, just super tight, and now it's round again." Well, in theory, it works for a weekend ride. Maybe that'll get you through it. But when you have an oval and then you tighten it, you have a lot of very tight spokes, naturally, and then looser spokes on the other two sides of the wheel. So what happens is when you have that imbalance there, the looser spokes start to loosen themselves. The more you ride, because there's not as much pressure. Every time the wheel comes around, it kind of collapses on those, and they tend to work themselves a little bit looser over time. And so as those are getting looser, the other ones are getting tighter. And finally, a couple days in, got to a point where they just started snapping. They were on the drive side.
Well,
So they're
one
on
was
this
on the
side of things.
non-drive side and one was the other. So I was able to fix one, but then not the other.
Yeah, and this is part of the problem when you use J-bend spokes in the divide. Essentially, I'm not going to get into it right now, but you can't really like fit the spokes in there to turn it around, and like get it around there because you got this thing here which is useful. The cassette gets in your way. So essentially, what happens is he was having trouble even doing that, and you need a chain whip and breaker bar and all that to even get the cassette off, which you didn't have. Despite all the gear he took, did not have those, as most people wouldn't. But yeah, anyways, it ended up being that the wheel was completely shot. I mean, it was completely shot before he, ever set foot into Canada. But yeah, that's something where you really want your gear to be working right. I know he wishes the mechanic would have said, "Hey, dude, pony up and buy a new wheel." Um, I can make this work, but it may break. It'll work for a while, but it'll probably break eventually. If you would have told him that, would have had a new wheel, and it'd be we'd have a lot more videos, pretty much. Uh, but no. So, anyways, that was disappointing. Luckily, there was some family friends near-ish by. They were able to come get him until was it Caitlin or Dad that came out and got you?
Dad got me.
Yeah, and until my dad came out and got him there, and really ever after since that, you know, he I know had been asking a lot of questions about the divide, and really talking about it. Really wanted to get back into it, so we did some work there prior to the 2024 divide. Did a bit more bike training, worked on the gear, got the gear down a little bit, and got some wheels that didn't break, and was able to make it to Banff there, and yeah, well, no, I'll let you get into the race or four.
Yeah, so like Luke said, we got some things changed around from 2023. I did a lot more research. We ended up going with a completely different bike, which was a good move for sure. But yeah, so I'm just going to start off with the day before and the day of Banff because that's what a lot of people are worried about. So just so you know that there's a YMCA in Banff right next to the start where there's cheaper housing and stuff. You got to kind of get there earlier in the year. This is probably going to come out mid-February, so I don't really think that most people will get the chance to get those deals now. But if you are doing the 2026 Tour Divide, you might want to start looking at that YMCA right by the start of the Tour Divide. I stayed in a condo again, this time with air conditioning, and ended up being 60 degrees the whole time I was there. So the heat was not really a problem. So that ended up being fine. When I got there the day before, I was just able to chill out. I did like a little hike, did a little shakeout with my gear. Got to see around. I didn't really go to any bike mechanics this time. I did everything beforehand. There's a few in Calgary and a few in Banff that you can use. they're good, but they're not like something I would be, planning on doing all your work at. They're just got a lot of people coming in and out for the divide. I mean, there's usually like 200 some people all there that weekend, so they're pretty busy. So, like I said, get your stuff done beforehand if at all possible. So yeah, so starting on the first day, that night I actually got a ton of sleep. I don't really know how because the night before I slept in the car. I only slept like 5 hours. But the next night I slept like 10 and a half hours. And yeah, so that was super crucial for my race, just getting that extra sleep bank started. I started in the third wave, the projected finish. And if you don't know, they do waves now, where they'll ask you for your time, what you're looking to do after you've submitted your letter, and they're gonna be like, oh, so like, how many days you want to finish? There's going to be a lot of very ambitious people. They're going to say they can do it in 13 days because they've had some success in the cross country racing field or other parts of racing, and a lot of those people will have either dropped back the first day or dropped out. So just be wary of that. There's going to be a lot of people going out hard that first day. But yes, I was in the third wave. I said I wanted to do it in 18 days. I ended up finishing in 17 and a half, so beat my goal. Um, and then, yeah, so first day was pretty easy. You kind of get started, like I said, I think it was 7:15 a.m. It's a little bit chilly, or at least it was for me. And then you just kind of go through this meandering around this gravelish road for a while. And it's like, I think it's like a park trail or something, that just goes through it. It's really easy, not very technical. A few down trees, a few like rocks here or there, and you're kind of in the heart of bear country for a while. I think I ended up seeing a grizzly bear right around here. But yeah, and a lot of
It's
other people
another
did
good
the first
reason to
day
start in
too.
the third wave.
Yeah,
Like if
let
someone's going to
everyone
get
go
eaten by
through.
a bear, it's going to be one of the guys in the front.
Yeah,
It gets corrected at the end. So, don't
true,
be a bear
exactly.
snack.
And and if you don't know this, the waves are in 10-minute increments, and it doesn't matter. Like you don't lose by 30 minutes, you lose by 5 hours. Like people don't that everyone's so freaking out about it the first day, and it didn't matter. And like everyone was like hustling and jostling for position in this first section here, and it's like so stupid now that I think back about it. Like that first like 3 days are really everybody's kind of in that same boat, just trying to get their body used to it. And then after that, after you get to Whitefish, I think it really starts to spread out a little bit more, and the dynamic starts to change. But anyways, a lot of people getting past and passing back through this section here. I ended up sleeping in. We'll just kind of move through here. Oh wait, there's one big thing that everybody talks about is I think it's Coco's Climbs. It's
Yeah.
right in this section here. It's around a mile 100, and it's this really steep. You can see this picture here. It's really steep, like it's not really single track, but it's like Jeep road, and you're everybody's pushing. I mean, they're pushing for like I think a mile or two. I think that like my speed slowed down to like a mile per hour for like an hour or two, and it's like I think it's new within the last couple of years. Not I think when Luke did the divide in 2016 and 2017, they went through Elkford here, right?
Yeah, we didn't do the hot cocoa thing. We did the Alkford route, and that's fine.
Yeah, they went
Um,
the different way. And there is a turn that a lot of people will miss that first day where they just keep going down here. So as you're riding, make sure you're watching your GPS. Even the first day, there's a lot of like some weird like side trails that look like you should be on the road, but you're really not. You're off to the side. But anyways, I went up over there in a good
yeah,
time, and then I made
yeah.
it
No,
down.
sorry.
Oh
I
yeah,
was
good.
just gonna say, just as kind of comparison to when I did it the first time, Elkford, since you got it up on the screen, that's where I made it to. It's like 110 miles in. And having camped in that town, it's not a whole lot going on there, but I actually think I got a hotel. But yeah, so that's where I made it the first day, and then as Noah scales out and keeps going, we'll see where he made it to. Made it a lot better than I did when I was 16.
Yeah, well, like Luke said, he was 16. And I
Not
did
an
start an
excuse.
hour earlier than you, I think. They used to start at 8, and
That's
I
true.
started at 7. But yeah, so I kind of cruised down the backside of Coco's. This is actually quite technical. I was with Johnny No Shoes actually the first day for a bit. He wiped out pretty bad and skinned and cut his knee open. He had to spend some time in the ER. So this first day, it's not really worth sending any of these crazy steep descents. Uh, if you can walk and you're like your ego's okay with it, then just walk some of those downhills because it's really not worth ending your race over something so early. And there's just so much time after that. So you come down there. down into, I think this is like, there's some pavement in here and there's like a really fun, I think this is all a fun descent. It's like all single track. Just kind of have fun with it that first day. It's not super crucial that your position doesn't really matter. And a lot of people get into Fernie and just end up like sitting at the hotels and bars for like hours instead of sleeping or like biking, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion, like pushing super hard and exhausting yourself that whole first day just to sit and drink beer for an hour or two and then sleep for 8 hours. But that's what people do. And, that's what the race is for them. That's not what it is for me. So, yeah, I went through Fernie, got some food at the 7-Eleven real quick. That was a really easy stop. I mean, you don't really need a ton of food. I think there is one other food stop. There's like a little store not too far in. I can't remember where it is, but if you have any of those like cue sheets, there's 2 spots you can resupply that first day. And then, yeah, I ended up camping outside of Fernie a little bit. The reason for going a little further is just like, it was like maybe 10 o'clock when I finished. And I was like, well, I'm only going to sleep 4 hours the first night because I had such good sleep the night before the race started. So therefore, I was like, I might as well push until I'm getting tired. And then I pushed to like a point here. There's a couple other people that bivvied next, like in the same vicinity. And yeah, there's a pretty good finish to my first day. And I think that ended up being around 165 miles.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, 163. 83, 1 and 2. But yeah, no, he had a pretty good day. And actually, if you were to look at when he stopped, what position he was in like top 20-ish at that point. Now, that's only because everyone else stopped in Fernie. And then, got up super early to bike in the middle of the night during the cold for logical reasons. But yeah, so the first day, and I remember this, both years I did it too. I remember it's just a madhouse. Like people are going crazy hard, and it's like a road cycling race. Not that I've ever done that, but what I see on TV, people are always whipping by each other on like places that you shouldn't pass. Yeah, so that first day is just crazy. I remember first year I did it. Both the first and the second year I did it, there was someone with a mechanical coming up one of those long, like early climbs in the beginning, like 30 miles in. And I remember the second year there was a guy and he had a flat tire. That was it. And he was on the side of the road and he was, swearing and like, trying to rip it apart. And he was just like freaking out because of a flat tire. So, I didn't see him again after that. Wonder why. But yeah, I mean, the first day, you're not going to win the race on the first day, but you can sure lose it. Like Johnny No Shoes, came close to. I mean, he obviously finished, but his name's Johnny Price, in case anyone's like trying to look that up. It's not actually his last name, but I think that's his handle because he doesn't wear shoes or shoes with toes on him. That's a whole other story. But yeah, I mean, the first day, like you can absolutely lose the race, do something stupid, get a mechanical crash. But you're not going to win it. It's a long race, It's going to take you, 14 days, best case, to get there. And, it's not going to be all on day one. So just be smart. Don't gas yourself out. Don't try to send everything if you're not really confident with it. And, make sure you're getting your food, your hydration, all that, just basic stuff.
Yeah, Luke said, the food is really important because I did actually in the 2023 bonk pretty hard for no reason. I just remember Alex, Johnny's partner, was on a single speed. If you don't know her, she's a crazy good rider. But she kept passing me, and I was like, I'm not going to let her pass me again. She's on a single speed. And I just didn't eat for 2 hours, and I bonked super hard. And then she passed me anyways. I was like, I've recovered from the first bonk of many, and I'm surrounded by beautiful landscapes. Anyways, but just doing stupid, letting your ego get in the way on the first day is just, I did it. And this year I bonked a little bit, but just make sure you're getting your food stops in because those are super crucial when you're just getting your body used to it. But yeah. Is that what you're saying?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And second day.
Yeah, so getting into the second day, that is right about here. So second day is a bit of climbing. I mean, I don't know, both years I remember being like, this stage is kind of a slog, like a slog. Like you're not really. I was not with people both years I did it. I was just like kind of by myself, and it's just like there's some weird gravel climbs and stuff. Like you go up
I
actually more than you realize,
think
and then there's
right in
some.
there somewhere actually is the wall,
Oh,
which it is not on any maps, but it's like early second day,
is that like
um,
right here?
somewhere in there. No one really knows. It just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Oh
And
yeah.
I remember Noah calling me after on the 2023 divide, and he's like, "Dude, there's just like this cliff that we had to go up for no reason." I was like, "Oh yeah, the wall. Why didn't you tell me about that?" It's like,
Yeah, no
I know.
idea that existed at
But there's
all.
like this stupid like 100 meter section that you pretty much have to climb up. Push your bike up. It's ridiculous. And then that little whoop de whoop thing there is really technical. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it feels like you're going in circles. It's super slow. Um, and yeah, I remember on that it was just kind of crazy. Everyone goes super slow during that section. But I haven't ridden it in 10 years, so Noah, I'll let you talk a little bit more about the terrain there and how that went for you.
Yeah, the wall was really like Luke said, it was a surprise. Like it's you're literally like picking your bike up and then sliding down the hill. Like I don't even know if I could walk down it, honestly. And it's like this section. But yeah, then there's like some weird single track. I actually the 2023 divide, good thing I dropped out because I missed the trail like four times because I was way too zoomed out on my little E-Trex, which is going to make you miss the trail a lot of the times. I think you're like right around here. And I just like didn't make it up. I was like, I don't even care. I was like, I'm not even going to finish this race. I was so demoralized this day because I had just like been past the whole race essentially. But 2024, I had a better GPS system and I knew how to zoom in better, and I was fine. But yeah, it's just kind of a weird day. Just don't get demoralized. It's really easy to be like, this is miserable, but like it is. But really, you're just climbing up and over all these like backcountry passes. There's like I saw like bear like tracks a bunch of times, and like I said, I was solo. And then coming down this loop, you're like, oh, the Canadian border is like right there. I'm so close, but really, you have a long way to go. So yeah, coming around here, there's another good climb. I think it was like right at the end where you're like, I'm literally within like spitting distance of the border, and your GPS like will show that. But there's like this long, like weird section where I think there's like a bunch of hiker bike, and it's like it's usually overgrown and whatnot. And then you pull over this last section here, and then finally when you get to the top of this climb, it is downhill all the way to the border, and that I will say is the first time on the Tour Divide, you will probably feel like this might be fun, or at least might be something you might finish. And even though you're only like 270, 60 miles into the race, it's going to be one of those things that you'll remember as the first moment you're like, oh, maybe I can get through this. But yeah, so um, that was like my kind of opinion on those first section. Luke, what do you want to say about this?
Yeah, and that last section there with the whoop de whoop, you're in America, like sorry, Canada, and you are just like it's just like going back and forth, and you're like, who designed this road? Like you just want to go straight there. I mean, if you look from the little I dot thing to the border, it's like a stone's throw away. Yeah, like a really good arm. Um, you can make just like around and around and around, and there's a lot of unexpected technical terrain there, so everything will be going great. And a lot of BC, that British Canadian section there is rocky, and then there's like a bad section that like takes you 20 minutes to get through, and then it's like fine, and then it's just like, oh, there's a few massive trees down that you have to figure out how to get around. So pick the bike up and you know go over it or go around it or drive yourself, get scraped up, something like that. It seems like something always like that happens for me. I remember ran into a bear there when I was 16. So when Will and I were doing it together, right in the loop to loop. So when we were not going fast, and so we ran into a bear. We're like, okay, whatever, cool. You know, it's fine. We'll just stop here and wait for it to leave. And then this dude comes up behind us, and we're like, hey, dude, stop, there's a bear. And he's like, oh, no way. Pulls out a piece of pizza that he got in Elkford and starts eating it. And we're like, man, he's like, well, like, I'm not going to die hungry. Like, that's actually fair. Like, put the pizza away, you might not die at all. No one died. It's not the bear wandered off, but there is a lot of bears in there.
Yeah.
And I actually saw a bear the second year as well. But that's when I was Binyak, I believe is his name, riding with this Czech guy who'd never seen a bear before, and he's super freaked out about it. And that was yeah, we saw two bears. No, that was when I was 17. And he was like freaking out, asking me all these questions about bears. Like, I'm so veterinarian. I was like, I'm not. My dad is. He is. But he's like, well, what do you do? And I was like, well, there's two of us, so it's 50-50. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I just got to ride faster than you, and I'll be fine. Like, I'm not worried about it. And, one of my dad's old jokes, and he did not think that was funny. And literally 20 minutes later, man, we run into a bear. Dude starts losing it. Like, he camped with me the first 3 nights, I think. Real nice guy. But if you're not expecting to see a bear in there, might get used to it. Carry a little bit of mace.
Have it
probably not
accessible
pizza.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have it accessible, and not that like you're gonna see a bear, but if you do see a bear and like you're not gonna feel comfortable when it's like super far away, because it's like, what are you gonna do at that point? Like they come out of nowhere. If you're gonna carry it at all, have it on your person, like where you can get to it. Like
Yeah.
but
Like
yeah.
a holster or something where you can quick draw. I don't know.
Anyways, I did forget to mention though, I think it was right here. It snowed on me for like 3 hours too. So
Yeah, I remember that.
that could definitely happen. Be prepared for some weather in those northern climates. And I don't really know. You just got to learn your system before that point, as far as like how much stuff like go out in the wintertime and test it out in snow, just to make sure you're not getting to that first day and getting hypothermic. Because Coco's Climbs is definitely like a place that people get snowed on, which is the first day. And that second day, I think that I could definitely see people hitting these sections by the border. But yeah, just finishing up my day here. I did a small resupply in Wairika, biked up a bit further. There's this long, slow climb that's like pavement and stuff into day 3. And I just camped there, another snowy day. But we'll talk more about that in our next video when we talk about the Montana section of the Tour Divide.
Yeah. Initially, the first, you're crossing one of the two borders that you're going to cross, assuming you're making to Mexico, and they let you ride across the border nowadays. But so it's a big milestone, getting out of Canada. The border crossing, if you're worried about that, don't be. There's just a couple of guys there that just like see you ride up and they're like, "God, keep going,"
Well, I got
do like a roll.
my passport checked both times, and I've heard people actually had to wait there for like 5 hours if you're not a American citizen, though. That is a concern for those of us.
That's a good point. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. I forgot.
So yeah, maybe
Make
look
sure your
into other
visas
ways
are in
across the
order.
border.
Yeah, get all your papers squared away. For American citizens, it's usually fine. For Canadian citizens, I'm assuming it's fine. But if you are from a country from further away, I would maybe consider making sure that all your stuff works, because that will be the first time coming into the United States, especially if you fly into like Kalispell or someplace like that. But yeah, that can be a problem, I have heard. But like I said, Luke said he got waved through. It's just going to depend on how border tensions are when you race the divide.
One of the times I got waved through because I was coming through either late at night or early in the morning. I know it was dark, and I just kind of pulled up there, and the guy just was not interested. He's like, "Keep going." It's cold and snowy or something. And the other time they did, just like look at my passport. All right, have a good one. So I've never had any issue, crossing the Canadian border. But again, that's Noah and I are both American citizens, so it's might be different if you're from Europe or other countries that exist out there. So make sure you have all that squared away, and really the big thing, don't lose your cool. It's the start of the race. There's a lot of race to go, so don't get too worked up about it. If you have a mechanical, everyone has a mechanical at some point on the divide. You're just getting it out of the way. So don't let it stress you out too much. Make sure you're getting enough food at your resupplies, because You eat a lot more when you're biking all day. Um, there's plenty of water in this section, so water's not really a concern.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, outside of that, there's a lot of other cool things to consider and talk about here for Montana. Not so much Wyoming, but we'll kind of go state by state here. But yeah, those are kind of the next two coming up. And know anything else?
No, really, that's about it. And please, if you are interested in doing the Divide, check out our YouTube videos. We'll have our email linked in the description as well. We are going to be doing more videos and stuff like this. I really would recommend researching a lot about February, March time of year, because just like kind of get your bearings as to what this race is going to look like. It's really easy to be sucked into this ultralight, oh, this is going to be fine. It's all gravel roads idea, but just really knowing what this terrain is looking like. It's a lot of gravel roads that are going to eat your gear and bike up. And yeah, so anyways, just make sure you're doing your research. And like we said, we're gonna have some videos on some cheap and effective ways to get you from Banff to Mexico. But yeah, other than that, I think that's about all we got. Tune into our next video. Part 2 will be about the state of Montana.
Yeah.
All right, thanks guys.